when I look at customer success, I hear a lot of the term customer success manager, and it seems more like account management role, not necessarily a technical role.
Yeah.
It sounds more like a technical role from what you're speaking. I don't know. Can you explain, like?
Yeah, well, there's, if you really look at the basis of customer success, it's really it's onboarding. Is like mostly it's two tasks: onboarding, making sure that the customer gets to the revenue as fast as possible and understands that they're getting to not the revenue but the value as fast as possible. So that's the one side, and then the relationship management and growing that relationship, and thereby, if you do the right thing, also growing the account. So that's kind of your angle. So that's less account. Well, there is account management in there, but it's less focused on sales. It's more about making sure that the customer gets the value. And it's what you said earlier. If you do that right, the growth follows, because the customer feels that they can trust the company. The company becomes a trusted advisor through that, and then naturally that tends to grow. In some companies, they make then the differentiation between the customer success manager and some other roles and account manager. That's where you really want to, and that's mostly a good thing, because your account manager then does the sales conversations, the harder conversations about, hey, what's the money conversations, let's say, so that your customer success team can focus on really driving value, and they're not diluting that with discussions about pricing. Now, in all these things, your mileage may vary, and there's no, I wouldn't say there's a perfect solution. It's just keeping, it's more of a mindset that you need to keep a view on. If your mindset is, we want to deliver that value, we expect growth through that, and we follow that up, we're still in the business to grow the business, then that's fine. It's more if you really go into almost sales conversations with your customer success team and really start pushing, then you very quickly, a customer feels that, and they're going to say, well, are you helping me or are you pushing me to just buy? And that you want to avoid. But how you avoid that can be just mindset and setting up your system the right way. In most companies, when they grow, they start splitting it out in customer success team and account management, because that is more natural for the customer as well. It's if you think about buyer enablement, well, then that is a more natural way of coaching your buyer.
And that brings us to like the accountability part, the third step.
Yeah.
So pre-sales, our job is to show the dream as simply as possible.
Yeah.
And the customer success's job is to achieve that dream, and it's very complicated. Or in most software right now. So how's their accountability between making sure that the promises that we make as a pre-sales team are achievable by the customer success, who are also monitored, or the performance is measured based on the value they've achieved?
Yeah. But to me, in pre-sales, I always have in my head, and I think that's probably the easiest way to this, that every company I worked in and every customer I worked with and that I was a pre-sales person for, built a solution for, I want to still be able to, in 10, 20 years, whatever, view them again, see them again, and know that what they got is the right thing that I did. Like as a pre-sale, to me as pre-sales, we show what we have in the absolute best way possible. We're going to do everything we can to convince the customer that their pain can be solved by, we can bring them to the dream with our solution. But there's an edge. If we know that's not possible, then you can't go, like for me, I won't go over that. I won't go over that edge promising something that I know full well that is never going to be realized. That to me is kind of, if you keep that in your head as a pre-sales person, then you know that the value can be realized. So to me, it's bring it back to simple. Just don't sell something that will never be able to be sold. Don't promise them anything that you know you're just is no chance of delivering within the next 3 years. Like even if you do roadmap selling, don't make promises purely based on a roadmap that's out more than 3 months, because then you're setting yourself up for failure. You know, roadmaps can change. So
okay, well, I agree with that, and a lot of SEs don't want to do that. That's something we struggle with salespeople, that they will oversell in some cases.
Yeah.
Right, and then it's the salesperson's, the SE's responsibility to reel them in. Yeah. But if they can't, if they're brand new or whatever, now it's on the customer success team. So yeah, what can the customer success team do at that point if they do get something that's which happens? Yeah, and like it happens. So if it happens and your customer success team is faced with it, it's about resetting expectations. Now I say that it's easier said than done, but it's really looking at understanding what value we can deliver, and then sitting down with the customer and showing them and focusing on the value we deliver, and resetting the expectation of where we can't. Because in the end, if we lose it, if the customer success team loses it, then that shouldn't be the responsibility of at that point, or the accountability of the customer success team. The customer success team can do as well as the promise that is delivered that is sold to the customer. We've solved it in different ways in the past in different companies. Like in some companies, what we did was made the salesperson accountable, for example, for the first X months, like 3 to 6 months. So if a customer, if there was churn in the first 3-6 months, or whatever you take as a period, it would still be accountability of the salesperson. So that there's a handover period, and that really quickly kind of brings that together. But there is the responsibility of the leadership. As higher level leadership, you're deciding how you want your company to work, and you're deciding of what you're putting first. So you have enough ways to make sure that to limit these things from happening. You can never fully stop that from happening, but you have enough ways to kind of manage that. And the best way is bring all your company and focus your company around delivering the experience to your customer. If you go from making them successful, then your whole company is really focused on that. So like the vision of the company kind of dictates how everybody within the company, whether it's sales, pre-sales, post-sales.
Yeah, it's looking at the bigger system. Like as pre-sales, we were, and it's important to know for pre-sales people as well. We work in a system, right? And
serve the process, not the sales.
Exactly.
And so
the more you understand of the system, the better. Yeah.
And customer success have their own process to serve as well.
Yeah.
Which hopefully would tie in one way, shape, or form to the pre-sales process.
But to me, that's indeed like if you're taking a larger view of your company and of the processes, it's, well, how does one flow into the other, and how are the KPIs linked to each other? Like ideally, you start from the top. Is like, what do we want to, like, what's our overall goal, and then you start going down, but you keep it linked. So yes. you make sure that everything is, all of the different parts are supportive to the same main story, the same main goal of the company. And to me, that's leadership setting that goal. What are we as a company? There's a really great, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, Andy Raskin, I don't know if you heard about him. He talks about a strategic narrative. It's about how a company proposes their offering. about, and he talks about proposing your offering as there's an old game in town that those are the people that will die off, and there's a new or companies that will die off, people. And then there's the new game in town that brings you into the next era of success, and how to get there. But he's very adamant, and that's the key point of him, that the story and the strategic narrative and everything that flows down needs to come from the top, all the way up to the CEO. If it's not there, you have very little chance of having that integrated across your company.